And just switch this on over right there, right there. Alrighty. That looks good for right now. Alrighty. There it is. Perfect. Switch that. What is up, everybody? You already know what it is. It is Saturday morning, so we are back with another episode of the Smash Podcast. Thank you all so much for coming out and joining us. I tell you what, it is a beautiful day. It is a wonderful day. It has been a while since we've gotten the crew together, but let me tell you what. I was like, we have some wonderful hot topics going on. But before we get started, we got to introduce the usual suspects on the crew. And first up, I got to give some love here for my man who's been out here working harder than anyone that I know. This man has taken off. He has gone full Mr. Hollywood in the best sense. He is completely moving. He is on the way up. There's no better love than I can give to my one and only brother, the artist man himself, Mr. Hollywood, the man that needs no introduction, the one and only Soul King.
You introduced me like I'm a box.
Don't even act like you not a boss.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
This man acting like he's not a boss. This man literally has been making. No, don't do that now. So I was like, you've made a brand of clothing and streetwear that has completely blown up in the past 2 years. When you started making art, like online, like what, 7, 8 years ago, just making memes, and now you making bank. You are Hollywood. I don't care what this man says. He tries to push it off however he wants, but we know the truth. I was like, and that's all that matters. I was like, oh, everyone's over here crashing in and out. Oh no. But it wouldn't be a show without some technical difficulties as we get this all working here. So give me a second. So we gotta do what we gotta do over here. Hang on. There we go. We keep it moving, we keep it pushing, we gotta keep going. But yes, I was like, you already know how it is with my boy Soul King. I was like, he really is out here doing his damn thing. He's working hard and doing so many great things as much as possible. I got nothing but love for my brother.
I think I got bad service right now, but I'm back for the time being.
Oh no, this man with his bad service is what happens. I was like, it's all happens when you get adjusted to a new place. But yes, I was like, I know that Soul King has been missing
Yeah.
for the past couple weeks, but that's because this man has been in the bit of a transition. So why don't you let the people know how you've been doing? So what you've been watching, what you've been reading, what's been going on in your corner of the world over there.
Um. Of course, y'all know I'm a JJK enthusiast, so I've been constantly keeping up with JJK. Um. I recently watched. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. I watched Godzilla minus one, which I suggest everybody go watch. That's the best Godzilla film out there.
Got that
Um,
Godzilla right here. Got
what
that
else have I
represented.
been watching? Yeah. Besides that, I haven't really been watching anything else. There's this new film that came on Netflix. That's starring Marshala Ali and Julia Roberts. I forgot what it's called, but it's extremely good. So I watched that last night. It's like a 2 hour and a half film, and it's really good. So
Oh, okay. I was like, we all know that we got nothing but love for Mahershala Ali out here. So you know that we got to be on that here. But yes, we know that you're very much a JJK enthusiast. And if you aren't following this man on socials, you need to, because all he be tweeting about is how Yuji's got them hands and feet, and that's all he needs.
yep, that's all he needs, man.
I was like, that boy is straight hands team, and that's it. Let's say, but you know what? I was like, if you aren't watching the newest season of JJK, you need to, because they finally showed off that Mahito and Yuji fight, and whoo, let me tell you, I was like, that was the most beautiful beatdown that I've seen, and that was before his brother got involved.
Yeah, I'm about to say y'all just gotta keep watching, man. Just keep watching.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is one of the best arcs y'all can ever experience, to be honest. So
And it's also gonna be one of the most heartbreaking arcs for a lot of y'all. I
Oh
say
yeah, easily.
easily. I would say, but man, I was like, I gotta say, no matter what, I was like, I got nothing but love for Toto. I was like, I know he's the most out there wild character, but man is probably one of the smartest out there and literally one of the craziest. But when he gets down, he gets down. I love Toto.
Oh yeah, Toto. Yeah, Toto. He people think he people think he's a troll because the way he talks about how smart he is, but he's literally that smart. He's a genius.
Yeah, he literally is that dude because of the fact that he is proven across everything. And if you don't believe it, I was like, y'all need to go read the data books that Gege has put out because he's ranked everyone, and Toto is literally up there.
Yeah, he's the best. The most all around character you can have. So he's great in all aspects of data. So
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I love it. And of course, I know that you were actually posting. I think everyone's been kind of posting about it. You recently finished another anime that you were just like, oh my god, this is so good. Because you were finishing talking about
uh
Freya Ren.
oh Frank, yeah, oh yeah, that it's really amazing. I just watched episode 13 probably like 2-3 days ago. It's really good. It's kinda a slow burn, but it's like the best explanation I can give it is like if you ever play any of the Souls games or any RPG, any like adventure RPG or anything like that, and you start it and then you play New Game Plus, it's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like you have everything unlocked and you have all your skills. You're just walking through life level 150. So
Exactly, exactly. And honestly, it's probably one of the best uh animes out there because of the fact that it shows what happens at the end, right? After the journey's already done and it's that feeling and conversation of what happens now when everything's all said and done and you kind of left with nothing much, right? And you're the only one who can stay around forever, but not everyone else. Like all the other NPCs are gone, and I love it. It's just a well done show. I was like, and you don't
yeah,
see too many
I
that.
can't. I need to. I need. They need to bring it back. I don't need. They can continue where they left off at, but I need to see the adventures of uh, Hamill and the rest of the crew.
Hmm.
That's what I really need to see.
I can agree
Cause
with you.
Hamill is a amazing character, even though we only saw him like through flashbacks and like only
Hmm.
like one episode. He
Hmm.
is an amazing character.
Hmm. No, I can completely agree with that. I'll say it truly is one of those series that don't come out all that often, but it is definitely one that's great. Now, for those who don't know, as it is very obvious, I am your boisterous host with the most, Bloody Nux, aka the Gothic Gamer, and your resident anime king here. And I gotta say, it is good to always be back and talking with y'all because we got plenty of news here. But to kind of keep y'all up on what I've been reading, I've been keeping up on my manhwas like crazy. I was like, I recently have been I started a few new ones that just came out. Mainly, I've been reading Martial God Regress to Level 2. I started reading Life of a Quack Healer. And of course, I'm keeping up on the big names because, we got to. I was like, things like Max Level Solo Newbie. I was like, Omniscient Reader. I was like, some of those, I was like, deserve to be anime adaptations. And of course, I've been rereading Solo Leveling because Solo Leveling gonna dominate next year. I was like, I think we can all agree that Solo Leveling, when that anime hits, is gonna be absolutely batshit greatness.
Oh yeah, soul leveling. I was on my solo leveling enthusiast back when the first release and everything like that. I,
Yes,
I
you
love it.
was.
I really do.
Yes, you was.
Um,
You was probably one of the
I
biggest that would be like, hey, if you aren't reading manhwas, I was like, you need to go read Solo Leveling right
you,
now.
yeah, I really was pushing that agenda, but it's really good. I really hope that the anime does it justice because unfortunately we're at this point where manhwas really don't get the adaptations that they deserve right now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only reason why I'm scared for it. But hopefully, given that the popularity of solo leveling, they might actually try to
To put the
do
quality into
some
this
give
one.
yeah. So and then hopefully that in turns shows. more. I mean, because like there's so many great mangas that has dropped. So
And there's some
this one term
and there's
will
some
help.
that have some beautiful, beautiful like art that can be like translated amazingly into anime if they do it right. Because looking at some of the anime adaptations of manhwas, the ones that we have gotten have not been the best. I was like, I think one of the ones that we can definitely look at the most is God of High School. God of High
Yep, God of
School
High School. Yep.
literally skipped dozens,
So much.
so
It's
much.
so much.
I was like,
And I
basically
found
all.
out I found out about that later. I was like, wow, they skipped so much.
And to be fair with that one, I was like, I think all they wanted to do was just to make it pretty eye candy for the fights. And while the fights were nice, they left out so much of the story that it was so disjointed that you couldn't even really appreciate how much actually goes into the story of God of High School.
Yeah, and then that was like Crunchyroll's one of Crunchyroll's actual first produced animes, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was like yeah, it was honestly all over the place. But the good like if Solo Leveling does good, this opens this door for all the other mangas
To
that we
come up.
have seen, and then it makes it like we have so many anime studios that really just sitting on nothing. And they
Mm-hmm.
can just grab one of these titles or series and you know make it gain more popularity because not a lot of people are into manhwas. A lot of people don't really see it as a contender for manga. You know what I'm saying? But it's up there just as much. You know what I'm saying? So
And you got to think that the turnaround time for manhwas are much different than mangas because you think that they use a vertical uh, format
yep,
using being able to be the thing about manhwas is that they're formatted and built around being mobile reading. I was like, so they're all scrolling, so they're long strip comics compared to the traditional pages of mangas and stuff like that. And not only that, I was like, these are all colored pages and chapters. I
yeah.
was like,
So you don't have to do a lot. Like the animators don't really have to do a lot when it comes up to the colors and everything like that because it's all there. It's honestly all there. Um, and then half of the fights are like like they're stills. It's not like much. It's not like they have to create the fights a lot in manhwas because they literally like draw almost like every panel of a fight
mm-hmm.
that goes on. You know what I'm saying? So
So it's easy to. It would be relatively easy, or it should be, anyways, to do a one-to-one translation because the whole storyboard is already there for you. All you gotta do is just make the scenes in between to really fill it out to
yep.
make it feel alive and stuff like that. Because you think that there's plenty of great ones out there. Like I mentioned, I was to say we have series like most notably I think the one that's the biggest that we can all talk about is Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. That's probably one of the biggest manhwas out there. But
Mm-hmm.
then you look at series like uh, Max Level Newbie is really popular. You have series that's you have some series that's like World After the Fall coming from the same team that made Omniscient Readers. You have the the Tutorial Towers Advanced Player that's really popular. You have Lone Necromancer. You have uh, hell, one of my favorites is literally an all martial arts based one is Study Group. I was like, if you haven't read Study Group, it's literally about a kid who literally just wants to study and get good grades, but he's absolutely horrible at studying. And this boy is literally the son of a doctor and a judo master, and he studied Jeet Kune Do in his free time as a way to build himself physically to help with his mental training. But he's an absolute idiot. But it follows like a whole group of delinquents at this horrible technical school who all just want to study, but they literally get into fights like every other day, and it's so good.
Yeah, like there's so many manhwa that has potential. I just hope that like a lot of these anime studios start to realize that.
Mm-hmm. Because the other big one that came out was what? Tower of God.
Yep, Tower got. Yeah, they announced the you know, what's the name for that? So
Yeah, and did isn't that one of the better ones? I was like, I never read Tower of God because that was one that didn't catch my attention at least. But I know that that was one that you absolutely loved a lot too.
yeah, I liked it. It's okay. It was pretty. It's I would say it's like above average. One I forgot. his name is slipping my mind, but he's a Tower of God enthusiast. And he always telling me to make the merch and everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make the merch. I'm gonna make the merch. But I would say every season has got enough for what a trailer for season 2 just came out, so
Yep. And
it looks promising. So
and you know what? And we all love fights here. We love our pretty designed stuff. But I was like, but Mono also have a lot of like really well done dramas that have. I honestly feel like some of the live adaptations for a lot of the manhwas have done better than the animated series because you have a series like Lookism that has been translated and that's done really well. You have Reborn Rich or the Kaibal's youngest son, as it's also known as, has been really successful. And then of course you look at something like Sweet Home. Sweet Home has absolutely been successful as hell on the Netflix live action adaptations.
yeah, I seen. I have to get in. I'm on season 1, but I'm so confused. I gotta get into it. I gotta actually like sit down and get into it because I'm just literally confused. So
I was like, oh, I was gonna say if there's one thing I love Sweet Home and it is so deep and there's so many things that you have to catch on. And that's before the creator actually did and wrote his prequel series that is in the same universe called Shotgun Boy. And that one explains a lot of some of the background characters and some of the
yeah,
events in it.
I heard about Shotgun Boy.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
dude,
I definitely got.
Shotgun Boy is so good. I love that one. And when I read it and it made me realize how much was going on in in Sweet Home, I'm just like and then the and I'll just say this, I was like they teased it at the very end of that one cuz that Shotgun Boy actually finished. I was like they teased where Sweet Home was and I'm just like, "Oh my god." I was like, "I need this crossover now." I was like, "Bring the universes together, please."
Yeah, I'm probably gonna read it when I get settled in. Yep.
Yep. And speaking of Sweet Home, for those who aren't aware, is that Netflix actually just released season 2. So if you've been waiting for that, make sure you go and check it out because I gotta say it is absolutely phenomenal. I was like, I've been loving it, but like I said, I've absolutely dove into that manhwa like all the way in forwards and backwards twice now. So I love it. So you need to go and check it out. But there's just so many great series out there that absolutely deserve some sort of adaptation when it comes to manhwa. That really kind of shows that medium, especially for anime, is so open that we've seen Chinese animations and stuff like that from a lot of their manhwas out there. So seeing a lot of Korean manhwas absolutely deserve to get the spotlight if they're done right. Just like if a manga adaptation is done as an anime, it done right, that it can be really well done. So there's just a lot of potential there if the studios and some of these teams are willing to do it right and not just kind of chase kind of like we saw in the past. And I think that's what we're seeing at least with Crunchyroll is that after what happened with God of High School, which was probably one of their most hyped things because that was with their whole webtoon um, team up back in what was that like 2019, 2020, right around there that we are seeing all
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
That
Yeah.
hopefully they're starting to put more into it than what they're doing now. But speaking of the anime industry, that actually brings us into our first topic. And I got to tell you guys that things are looking a little bit hot in the world of anime. Because we talked about our love of Jujutsu Kaisen and how that is probably one of the most beautifully animated series out right now. Probably some of the best fights that you'll see, bar none. However, many of y'all may not know is that there was actually a little bit of worry on what's going to happen with Jujutsu Kaisen, as there's been talks that the series itself might get put on hold. And that's because apparently MAPPA Studios recently had their claims and requests for breaks actually denied. And for those who don't know, is that the anime industry is a very intense industry, and it is um, well known for its hardworking environments and it's known for its burnout. Um, and Mappa has been working hard. That's no doubt. I was like, the amount of projects that they've been recently putting out and their level of animation quality is up there, but they've been straining a lot of their animators because they've been doing project after project after project with no break. And this is kind of highlighting the darker side of what's going on in the animated industry, is that a lot of these studios take on so many projects with no breaks that these animators are working weeks on end, and it's causing a lot of them to burn out. That's why there's sometimes such a high turnover rate at a lot of these studios. And honestly, if the industry stays like this, it's not going to be sustainable, especially for these larger studios like we see with Mappa and others. And so, as someone who draws a lot of art and wants to do their own projects, you have a deeper understanding of kind of this whole process and how this affects artists. So, what are your thoughts on what happened at Mappa, how it's affecting the industry, and all of this really like coming forward as a whole?
Honestly, what I might say may come as I'm not gonna say a hot take, but like, given that, like, that's in Japan, that's their culture. I can't. I'm gonna say it's definitely bad. When we see it's bad, the workers are complaining about it, and something needs to be done. But they're like, when all of the companies are doing it, what can we change? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for us to really change that unless we don't support the anime, which is pretty hard for just us in general. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just because we waited. Some people waited, like, some people may have waited years for this to be animated, and then you're telling them they can't watch it or support it because the anime, what they were pushed into a burnout type of situation. Is I would say for us a lot of times it's a first world problem. They like whatever, they're gonna start watching. Even if so many of us don't support it, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be so many more that do support it, and it's still gonna result in the same thing that we always talking about. For the issue for JJK, I don't know how current the complaints are because I seen recently that they saying these were complaints that were held during the making of JJK, and some people are saying that JJK season 2 is actually still being made now. There's a lot of confusion with JJK, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one is true. But the workers on there are also getting burned out as well. But I don't really see there being much of a change because even for the workers, the animators in Japan, okay, if they don't want to do it, they're gonna find the contractors. They're gonna find the overseas contractors that we haven't seen so many times from like on Twitter. Are these folks saying like, yeah, I worked on such and such. I worked on this scene. I worked on that scene. They're all contractors. They're not Most of them not from Japan or anything like that. So there's always gonna be people that's looking for work, and they're not gonna mind the people that are complaining because they're trying to get money. They got to pay bills too. So
Mm-hmm.
all in all, it sucks. It's hard. The one thing I could say is, like, I don't know the culture. Like the same thing we say about, like, like how the game industry, the burnout is. You have to pay them more for said overtime and burnout. Give
Mm-hmm.
them way more money. That's I think that's a good in between. Just give them more money
Yep.
because they're making y'all millions to billions of dollars. Just give them money, please.
Yeah, make sure that they're compensated fairly because some of these people are working months on end without any sort of break or any sort of, uh, you know, step back, and they're working on project after project after project. And some of these ones are massive hitting, and especially we look at Mappa. Look at what Mappa's done. I was like between JJK and Attack on Titan, I was like Mappa has so many other projects that they've done in
Yeah,
between.
Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, they had Hell's Paradise. Like they have so many like heavy hitting shows in between just Attack on Titan and JJK that, like, y'all getting money. Pay them folks. Just pay them folks. And I understand, like, they're always reaching out to like the best industry animators. So like most of the time, there's a lot of contracting involved. So it's just I don't know how to fix it. Do I want it fixed? Of course, but how do we fix it? Because us just saying, "Oh, just stop working them hard," that's not a solution for the people actually in
in
that
the
type of
industry.
situation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just okay. And then the people, the studios are all like, okay, then how do we fix that then? Then it's gonna be crickets because we don't know actually how to fix it. The only thing I could think of is for every time there's overtime or there's burnout and a scene needs to be rushed, it need to be compensated for rush. That's simple. So
Yep. And I think that's the thing is as fans, we want the best for the industry that we love, but it's just also we got to understand that we don't always have the right ideas or may not have the right context to understand what we can do to really fix it. And I think that's the biggest thing is like what can be done to make the situation better as a whole for the industry, because if it goes on like this, I think we can all agree that this isn't sustainable for a long term. You think that the anime industry is a huge form of income and revenue for Japan as a whole. And if you continue to run the industry like this, it's not going to be sustainable. And eventually it's going to get to the point where there's no one who's going to be willing to work in it because of the fact of how quickly they come in and how quickly they go out. Even if there's many talented people, you're going to eventually hit a point where there's just not going to be any be interest, or people aren't going to be willing to take that risk of being like, hey, I'm only in this for a year. I might not even make the money that I need, and after that year, I may not even want to be doing this anymore because of how intense it can be. There's so many different aspects of it that need to be adjusted or looked into because yeah, it's partly cultural, but at the same time, we as fans also are a part of that on understanding. Hey, some of these projects are done over years. Because I mean, look at a lot of
mhm.
the animes that we watched, 10 years ago, that are finally getting other seasons, and then look at everything else that's being done nonstop. You know?
Yeah. I think I guess another solution would be is y'all have to hire way more people. Like I don't know exactly what the number for MAPPA is, but I think the total number I think documented is like probably close to like 300 employees or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to double that. Honestly, double that. And then y'all could disperse everything across disperse the whole work
Or
across so many people that it's really not that much work.
yeah, or better yet, have an A and B team, right? Have enough to where you can have, hey, A team, y'all work on this, and then after this season, I was like, we'll switch over to a B team, and then y'all will help handle everything going forward, so that way they alternate and not be working dead straight. I was like, oh, and you think that with Mappa, how many projects that they've had, it
Yeah,
would be.
that's true.
I would say they would be able to do an A/B team for many other projects. They have JJK. They don't have to worry about the AOT team
Sometimes
anymore.
I must say
The only complaint you
the only
got,
thing I have about that is you the only complaint I have for that type of thing. The the animation may suffer like how My Hero suffers because remember we were the one of My Hero in the animation that they have from like All My Fight versus the I don't even know what the people call it anymore, but versus that monster, everybody loves that
oh
fight. And
yeah,
that
the
fight
Nomu,
is
yeah, yeah, I get you.
normal. That fight is iconic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But after that season, it kept on falling down. The animation kept on falling down, and that's due to it being from the B team of the studio.
Yeah, so that is always a potential fear too. But I think also the fact is that they stopped prioritizing the series and started focusing only on the movies and films. Because if you go look at the My Hero films, those look absolutely amazing, like well done all the way
Oh
around.
yeah, definitely,
But then when you look at the
definitely.
series, I was like, after season two, Especially look at we all talk about it too. Look at the Todoroki and Midoriya fight. That was absolutely visually stunning and everything else. But come season 3, you see a noticeable dip in how well done the fights are. Let alone season 4 when we were all mad about the overhaul fight
Yeah,
alone.
easily.
Easily. So you see that there is always that worry about having an A and B team, but if everyone is consistent with the work and understanding the art style, I think that's something that could be avoided. But I think in that case, I was like, it was Studio Bones who put all the money and focus on the movie projects instead of keeping the series itself going forward. So that
Yeah, I'm gonna say only time will tell. To be honest, what will happen. Eventually, if the animators do decide to like stop doing work, the only thing that the anime studios will have to do is just pay more. That's they're like, okay, here, take all this money because we literally need y'all. We need y'all to continue to live. So that's what the studios are going to say because that's the only way they're going to survive is if they have the animators. So
oh, without a doubt, without a doubt, I was like, it is without a doubt
unless we
that they're
get to the
gonna.
point, unless we get to the point where AI start to take over, but I have no idea.
I was like, well, the AI can't do nothing if the artist ain't doing nothing. So, Kofi, my
the
man.
artists, the artists ain't making anything. Yeah.
Sorry if you guys
Exactly.
are getting an echo.
No, you're good. You're good, man. What do you got on these thoughts here
So
for?
yeah, I've just been, going over what you guys are reflecting on. It's got me, kind of thinking about how well the animation industry in Japan has sustained over the years, right? Because I feel like maybe I think you guys are way more up on this than me, but even though individual studio has had many ups and downs, from a casual standpoint, it seems like anime is coming out all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
medium appears sustainable on the surface, but really there's these crazy work hours or businesses go under and other studios take over,
Mm-hmm.
and or a particular anime may never go past the season 2. So I start to think about how can sustainability be tackled, and that's I think what you guys were kind of touching on. Like, there's really no silver bullet to the change. I often think of, um, and this is a little bit, far fetched, but there might be a government policy in Japan that eventually emerges that is big enough to say we need to have a standard for how much we're paying people in an industry that makes our economy so much money. And if it's checking enough boxes, I feel like it'll get a lot of support. It'll get reported in the West. Hey, look at this new policy that guarantees some sort of benefit that they've never had, right? That they can't
Mm-hmm.
work, 80 hours or, within a certain specific amount of time. And if we were to catch that news, we'd say, wow, like, maybe this can help, but that's a dream that may never even come to fruition. So I don't know, uh, if that would ever happen. But it just, to me, when you think, like you guys are mentioning MAPPA, and there's many other animation studios that are so well praised, but I don't know how long they can go for before
Mm-hmm.
you hear of either bad management, or they release something that's just so disappointing. You go, what happened, right?
Yep.
So, um, I I am concerned, but for somebody, so like personally for me, because we have been trying to release new episodes of the Smash podcast. I've been really trying to dig through anime, and there's a lot of stuff, and I really feel like not only my picky self is overwhelmed with so many choices. I often forget the things you're talking about, all these internal issues, all these long lasting issues. So um, I just wish there was more visibility of that problem. I think because I think people would care, but I just feel like there's just so many casual fans that aren't aware. Not their fault, but I think awareness may not be very high. So
Mm-hmm. And that's definitely a thing. And you know what? Mentioning about the government, governmental policies. You think that uh, anime is already a very highly protected industry in Japan. You think that there's a lot of government regulations or involvement, especially with protecting those IPs and streaming rights, and why the government tends to be the ones who actively are the ones pushing for takedowns and attacks on piracy sites. And we've talked about in the past that
right,
the reason that piracy sites are so big for anime is because of the fact that there is a problem with the platforms. Look at Crunchyroll being the de facto streaming platform. We love Crunchyroll, don't get us wrong. Let's say, but with the fact that
yeah,
they lose so many classic series, so many licensing rights for a lot of those older series, basically just get left out in the wind. There's no way to legally find a lot of older classic series that has basically just been left in limbo because streaming rights pass from other companies to new companies that are then liquidated, sold off, and are now pieced out to other countries and other sites and areas. Because there's a lot of animes that we talked about that are have streaming rights in Australia, but they don't have streaming rights in the rest
right.
of the world because of the fact that they're left with a company that's only in Australia and they don't have access to global rights. So if that company goes under in Australia, that anime basically does not see the light of day anymore anywhere else. And I think that's the issue.
You I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you just brought up something really significant to me. I was just going through, I think it was just one of these, it was a Facebook group or something that was celebrating 80s and 90s animes.
Mm-hmm.
Some I have never seen. And I'm like, man, like where can I where can I go watch this? And like you said, there's either sites that are covered with uh, ad attacks,
Mm-hmm.
or I have to go pay for one of the anime series and it's maybe incomplete,
Mm-hmm.
or doesn't have all the things I want. So, oh man, that would be great if we had a space for that, a competitor to Crunchyroll. I mean,
Yeah,
there are
unfortunately,
competitors, but
unfortunately there isn't any really. I would say like, and then on top of that, like a lot of people don't have this like money just to give away. Like Crunchyroll has a lot of the anime, but then there's certain anime like for example, Undead Unluck, it's on Hulu.
Yep.
You have to buy Hulu just to
yeah,
watch it and stuff like that. And then you have some anime that's on Prime Video
And then
that
on
is just like
Netflix too. Look at Zom
and
100.
then
Zom
on Netflix.
100. Yep, on
Yeah.
Netflix too. I was
oh
like,
yeah,
and that's the thing is that some of those have vast libraries. Like the biggest one that can probably compete, which I'm glad they're doing, but they're still stupid with their pricing, is Netflix. Netflix has
Yep.
absolutely has dumped billions of dollars now
So
into their
many
animation,
and anime.
and
Yep.
it shows because the quality of the original projects now, the licensed projects that they're doing, and a lot of trying to find older series to bring back has absolutely shown that Netflix is dedicated to it. Because look at Castlevania Nocturne this year alone was phenomenal.
right.
I mentioned earlier this year during their Drop One event some of the series that they revealed. I watched Blue Eye Samurai, and
Blue
holy
Eye
shit,
Samurai.
that is
Blue
so
Eye
good,
Samurai,
So I've
amazing,
heard of this
amazing.
dude.
show. Is it
It is
that good?
so like I'm gonna be complete. Like I'm not always vulgar, but my god, I'm gonna do it right now. It is so fucking good, dude. Like it is literally probably one of the best like animations that I've seen because it mixes that calligraphic style you would see in traditional like Japanese paintings with a very unique 3D kind of animation. It's fluid.
Yeah,
The
it's like
story is so
they
good.
they like
Is
perfect. I don't know what's going on, but we got to the point where they have almost perfected like CG for like
wow.
anime it is insane. You don't
Yep.
see like you see wow, and then like the thing that the camera angles, the fight scene, everything about that. The story is top tier. I would say it's definitely top tier.
Absolutely,
Man,
and it's
is it
so it is so
between?
good, and the fact that it follows a very unique time period in Japan, especially for you, Kofi, who's probably one of the most versed in a lot of folklore and history in Japan, is that that during the like 1500s, how very anti-West that Japan was, and that any like Westerner, especially white man that was seen in the country was basically illegal, and that they really killed, except for those who were through the underground and had connections to certain political powers and stuff like that. It follows the story of a child who was born of a Japanese woman and a white man, and basically treated as basic. Yes, it follows their story, and it talks about how they're basically seen as a monster because of the fact that they had the blue eyes of a white man, and they're called devils, because you know how they treated a lot of mixed bloods back in the day and stuff like that. And basically it follows the story or legend, and it also goes into a point of talking about the Onryo, and you know about the Onryo. When I tell you it's so good, it is beyond good. Like, Soul is not joking when the team over there, whatever studios that they're working with, have absolutely gotten to the point where they've perfected like really well done CGI animation, because you see it in Baki, you see it in King and Ashura, and despite how people feel about it, I really liked Knights of the Zodiac. I think the issue was just the fact of the writing, but also look at what they did with
Onimusha.
Onimusha, yeah, Onimusha looks great.
Well,
I
how
was
was
like, say,
Onimusha?
yeah, and
It's
hell,
really good.
y'all see that I'm rocking it right now. I was like, Ultraman series finally got its third season for its final season, and I loved Ultraman CGI. I don't care what anyone says. The fight scenes in that were like phenomenal. So when I say that you need to go watch Blue Eye Samurai, you absolutely need to watch Blue Eye Samurai.
Wow. That's really
Yeah.
crazy. I saw
to
somebody
be
post in my group. I was like, what? Okay. Had never heard of it, but now it's the second time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah,
yeah.
it is
Yeah.
worth your time. And also the fact that the entire series was done specifically for English. I was like, the English voice acting is so well done. Like, I was surprised
Wow.
that with how much detail that they really went into with making the English voice acting phenomenal, because between that and listening to it in Japanese, both are phenomenal. But the fact that they focus specifically on an English voice cast and then did Japanese second, and they both still sound amazing, is one of those things,
you know, and
because
then like some of the character designs, it gives me I don't know if y'all remember this old old movie Treasure Planet. Um
yes, I love Treasure
some of
Planet.
the some of the character designs give me very Treasure Planet, and I was like, yeah, this is one of the best animated series of this year in general. Like probably in like the last few years, to be honest. So
Mm-hmm. It really is one of the best out there. So with that being like their surprise announcement during the Drop One event that they did earlier this year, it let me know that Netflix isn't joking around when it comes, like, if there's a true competitor right now when it comes to animation, it's gonna be Netflix. I was like, but there needs to be more to really make this sustainable with a lot of like appreciation of these classic series. I mean, think about it. Where can you realistically go out and watch all 900 plus episodes of Detective Conan, right? I was like, I love Detective Conan. I remember watching Case Closed when it first came out to the West, but there's no place that you can easily find all 900 plus episodes, let alone all 20 plus movies. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
yep.
that's one of the, and that's one of the more recent ones that you really have to like work for to find, because there's no easy way to get access to that. That's let alone looking at all the classic series. Like, look at Gundam, right? I have VHS tapes in my closet right there of classic Gundam series. Like, I'm talking Double O Zeta, Gundam Wing. I was like, Mobile Suit. I was like, I have so many in that closet right there of VHS tapes, but you cannot find any of them on streaming sites. And you think Gundam is
Yeah.
absolutely huge. Probably Gundam is the de facto mecha series that literally helped to paint the door for other mechas to be able to come out. I was like, and they're still not easily able to find. And that came out in the 70s. No, late 60s, early 70s, because they came out shortly after Robotech, because Robotech came out first. So if something like that doesn't have easily access to its streaming, there's no way you're gonna find a lot of other series that are more niche and less known than probably one of the biggest and most popular series in the globe. And I think that's
Yeah.
probably one of the things too, is that's why there needs to be a change to how the industry handles a lot. But we've kind of talked about that here, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done and a lot of stuff that goes well past us, but we just hope that there is a change, because that's all we can really hope for in industry, in a medium that we love so much. Now, with that being said,
Yeah.
here, going over from there, I do got to say that there has been uh, an unfortunate aspect of this kind of going into the fact of how the industry is kind of hurting and becoming unsustainable, is that there is a relatively well known streaming platform called HIDive. And for those who don't know about HIDive, HIDive was a part of Funimation's Funimation's house of animations before they were picked up by Crunchyroll, and originally under the VRV umbrella before Crunchyroll just converted everything into their own internal aspect. But HIDive was a streaming platform that focused on sub or more dub content, more English focused content, as well as being the platform where they openly promoted the more spicier side of thing. I'm talking about series like Monster Musume, especially Monster Musume. I think when I first heard about them when they first started was Monster Musume was their go to platform or their go to series on the fact that they were putting English dubs for spicy content uncensored in the West. And I definitely got my time out of that series and that platform, because there was many out there that I definitely indulge in. But the thing about it is that with it being focused on English only, you kind of, I'm not gonna say you limit your audience, but it does kind of push a certain aspect of what you're pushing for. And unfortunately, it seems that HIDive is actually suffering for this, is that several of the countries that they operate are shutting down and now focusing only, I believe, in the U.S. and I believe in Europe. So a lot of their English services, I believe, in Asia, I believe in India, as well as I believe in, think, Russia. I can't remember the exact, but several of their sites are going down in most other countries now, focusing only on the English speaking West. And that kind of shows what happens is that when you focus so heavily on one, that it can kind of alienate in other areas, but also the fact that even still, you think that English is still a relatively spoken language across, the globe and everything else, but it's still unsustainable, especially when you're a streaming platform that's significantly smaller, because we talked about how Crunchyroll has all this money to throw out whatever they want and not have to worry. Well, even if you're a smaller subsidiary, you don't always have access to that same kind of money that they do.
Yeah.
So hearing that, so what is your thoughts about what's going on with HIDive?
I'm gonna say I never really like cared about High Dive. I heard a lot of complaints about High Dive. Um, I'm gonna say unfortunately this it sucks. It's not really much. Uh, I, f- I forgot what the complaints were for High Dive though. Oh man.
I know some of it originally when it first came out was the fact of that its UI wasn't the easiest to navigate, as well as when it comes to searching. I know they tried to improve what they could when while they were still with just Funimation before they were fully like under the Crunchyroll umbrella. And we've all talked at length about how Crunchyroll has no intentions, or it seems like no drive to improve their site, let alone their interface, even on mobile streaming for like built-in apps on like
Yeah.
TV and stuff like that. Because of the fact that when you're the de facto, you don't care, because everyone's gonna go to
Yeah.
you no matter
Exactly.
what.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
would
that
say like unfortunate. It just sucks. I'm like yeah. Unfortunately, like you just said. even when competitors do come out, like it, they start off with like so behind that they can't have the opportunity to like mess up, and when they do, it's too late. Even because Crunchyroll has such a stronghold on everything, they can give you the bare minimum. When it comes to like just the UI, I think they just recently added a skip button
Mm-hmm.
for the intros and stuff like that. But all the other like upcoming and new like platforms that may be actually licensed, um, have a lot to like make up for, even when they probably do stuff a little bit better than Crunchyroll. So
Oh no, exactly. And taking a look at it here is actually, it looks like I was actually wrong. Is that HIDive was actually sold off and owned by AMC Networks now? I was like, and it seems that here
oh,
that yeah, they're owned
it's owned by it's owned by AMC.
AMC. Yep.
Ah,
So that's even shows that it's even harder when you think that a network like AMC is having to cut it down, because it's showing here that on the 14th of this month here on December that they're limiting access to HIDive, and it's only going to be available in the US, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. So mainly the large English speaking countries here. So the rest of the world will no longer have access or real
and
easily
to
access to HIDive.
to be the only show that I know that was really getting promoted and went viral from High Dive was that
All right.
isekai, the
Before we go,
isekai
hold on before we go anywhere. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
bloody, that isekai that was on High Dive. Oh crap.
Which one? There's a few.
The one where he got reincarnated as the baby of a pop star.
Oh, Hoshinoko.
Yeah. That was the one that went viral. That was the one, the main one that went viral. But after that, I didn't really see any noise or like buzz from High Dive after that.
To be fair, I think that was the most recent one for their English series. But I think the big ones that they had was like Eminence and Shadow was one. I think that they were doing the English, and then of course, like I said, they were known for uncensored, spicier content. So of course they had the Monster Musume and other things. But I believe they also were very known for they did the English and hosted the English dubs of Don Machi or Is It Wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon, and they also did the English dub for Made in Abyss for both the series and the movie when it
Mm.
released. So to be fair, they were actually the ones that were actually doing simulcasts um, more frequently, especially with a lot of the Japanese subs and that were coming out. So to be fair, High Dive was pushing to be a competitor as much as they could here. I was like, but the fact that they're even having to size down really kind of shows where streaming platforms are, even newer ones, are still having to struggle to cut out a piece here in the
Yeah.
industry, as well as they're not even like safe from a lot of the normal aspects. I was like, Crunchyroll being owned by Sony and having the money that Sony does, as well as the money that they do, they're able to get away with so much and do very little. But whenever you're trying to make something competitive in that market, even with as much as they have with the backing of AMC, they're still not able to sustain themselves. You think that the only ones who really are able to is like Netflix with the money that they make, and then right now Prime Video, because we talk about Hulu, but even Hulu struggles themselves, but they have the backing of Disney, and Disney is like not even putting a lot of the animes on Hulu unless you're in the West, but like in Japan, it's all going through like the Disney Plus under the Disney Direct branding and stuff like that. So they're not even utilizing Hulu out there. So it kind of comes down to is like, if you don't got big money backing, it's kind of hard to kind of compete in this space now, and it's making it even harder for newer sites that are trying to actually force that change to really hold out that space.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate too, because of the fact that you think that we talk about this industry needing that change, needing to be more sustainable and everything else. It's there's not a lot of room for it unless the big players are also pushing for that, and we know that Crunchyroll is not going to change. I was like, they have proven that with the fact that they have basically been like the go-to anime spot for the past what 5 years, and really since like 2020 they have become the like real de facto after everything else shut down. They purchased Funimation after Funimation tried to separate and everything else. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of where the state of the industry is, and that's why we've mentioned that things have to change. There has to be some sort of change.
Yeah, I 1% agree.
So what the fact that this is happening to HIDive, I hope that they can last in the areas that they are, but with the fact that they focus specifically in the English speaking countries or the larger speaking countries here, and they promote the English dub simulcast here, it is going to be very it's going to be niche. It's going to be harder to keep that up compared to other platforms, offering traditionally sub first and then dub later. So we'll
Yeah.
kind of see what happens with that. But with that being said, here I got to say there has been a lot of trailers recently that have come out that have been absolutely dominating and been great to see here, and especially for us. We talked about this. We mentioned Mahershala Ali, and earlier, I think it was last month, the director of the Blade film actually came out and said that they are confirming that the Mahershala Ali led Blade film is actually going to be rated R. And I know you were one of the people that was saying it needs to be rated R, and I think we all agree that Blade needs to be rated R, because if it's anything
Yeah, I
less
think
than,
yeah, it just makes sense to be rated R. Even though like they can get away with not showing any blood for the vampires, it just makes sense for a vampire movie to be rated R because it's still going to be a lot of gore. Like it's not like that's the only people that's going to be involved with this Blade and the vampire. It's going to be humans and many other things involved. And when I think about Blade, I just think about the blood shower scene type party shower scene, and
mm-hmm,
that has nothing to do. It's just blood. They wouldn't be able to show anything like that if it wasn't rated R. You get me?
mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a great step forward. The next thing I think also said that they're working on reason, but it wasn't the main point of the movie. It didn't make any sense. It was the focal point was on.
Oh, it looks like we lost Soul. It looks like he lagged out there for a second. Uh, well, while we wait for him to reconnect there, uh, Kofi, what are your thoughts on Blade being rated R? Oh, wait, is he back? I think we got Soul back. All right, there you go. I can hear you, Soul.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we saw
Okay.
that you lagged out for a second. Yeah, because you were
Where did
talking.
I left off? Where did I leave?
You were
Where did I
saying
leave?
that
Where did I leave
Blade
off at?
wasn't even just the entire focus of Blade.
Oh yeah, yeah. Basically, they're changing the script. They made it rated R. Uh, uh Marshall Ali, he's still involved. So hopefully this is a good step forward because if he wasn't involved, he probably would have been done with it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So or he would have he or like he did previously. He made his concerns public, and that actually in turn helped. So if something else was to pop up, he definitely would make his concerns public because he wants to give a great
Performance.
Blade performance. So like
Mm-hmm.
it makes like allow him to do that. He doesn't want to just be a typical. He wants it to actually be something comparable to like a Black Panther or Captain America and stuff like that. Something that people will actually enjoy watching. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
He
Because
he wants
recently
it to
Marvel
send.
films.
have followed that
Yeah,
formula.
recently Marvel films just have been very lackluster. So
I agree. I was gonna say, like, there's a few that I enjoyed, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I really liked, of course, the last Spider-Man film with No Way Home. I enjoyed that. I really liked. I personally really liked Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. I know some people didn't like that one. I really did. I thought it was really great, and I really enjoyed the visual aspect of it as well as the multiversal aspect. I enjoyed Quantumania. I know not everyone really liked the new Ant Man film, but I kind of did. Um,
hmm
but the fact is that I agree that the most recent Marvel films have kind of followed the Marvel formula in the worst possible way. And I think that's kind of really starting to show itself now. So I think the fact that Kevin Feige and the team over at Marvel are kind of realizing that, hey, look, we can't keep following the same formula that we've done for the past decade because the same people that watched, Iron Man 1 back in 2008 are not the same age nowadays. There has to be that kind of separation of, yeah, we still want stuff that's going to be for everyone, that 13 that PG-13, for the whole family. But now we also got to kind of start focusing more on also being able to dive deeper into those darker storylines and make the more mature
yeah,
content.
because yeah, exactly. Because like you said, like the people that grew up with Iron Man, they're grown as hell now. Everybody grown as hell now. So this
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And then on top of that, we're getting to the point where comic book movies are feeling like comic books. So and what I mean by that is basically you have to watch this film, this show to keep up with the next film, to then then watch the next upcoming show to make sure you're like all like up current to everything and all the events that's happening for like
Mm-hmm.
the big giant event that will happen. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's a lot of upkeep when it comes to comic books and comic book movies, and people are getting frustrated because a lot of it isn't turning out to be good. Like the most recent one that I guess people saying is amazing is the new season of Loki, and they're
Mm-hmm.
saying this is the Marvel that we love, but everything else is just you're just making it and you're not caring. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
and it feels like they're just pushing stuff out here, and there's no, like you said, there's no care, there's no love, there's no appreciation for the source material, which is what I think that the original, the Infinity Saga, we all love because of the fact that there was the right amount of team ups, the right feelings for everything, and enough appreciation for where the comics pulled from to inspire these films, and as nerds for us right here that grew up on these comics, that read these events and stuff like that, that is what inspired and like awed us because it was just like this is what we expected it to be visually. Obviously it was on a much smaller scale because they didn't have as many people, but it's still what we appreciated. And now it just feels like it's all cookie cutter, follow the same formula, so and so forth, and it's not as enjoyable. And Loki is probably one of the series that absolutely stood out as being one of those enjoyable ones. Like I know a lot of people liked Moon Knight, and then there's still some people who didn't like Moon Knight. But Moon Knight was one of the series that was still very experimental and stepping into its own, and that tried to go into a lot of the darker aspects of stuff here. Werewolf by Midnight, that short series was really good, or was it like a mini movie? I couldn't remember, but I really liked Werewolf by Midnight because of the fact that it's a character that no one talks about. It's one of those things that when you want to do something unique and different, you got to commit to that and know what you're getting into. I think that's why you look at why we're all glad that Deadpool 3 was confirmed as rated R, because that Ryan Reynolds himself is just like, I'm not changing my vision on what this character is. He's like, you may own it. He's like, but if you don't let me do my thing, he's like, I don't want to be involved with it. And I know that was the first fear that when the Fox acquisition happened for Marvel and everything else with Disney, that we all were hoping that Deadpool 3 wasn't going to be rated R. And when they did, we're just like, perfect. And then when he confirmed that it's going to be Deadpool and Wolverine, we're just like, even better, because that's what we want. because that's the stuff that we like. That's the crossovers and team ups that we know, and we love the way that these interpretations of the characters are. We want to see that because I think all of us still really love um, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, but of course we're all excited to see Hugh Jackman return into the suit as Wolverine, and the fact that now they're actually going to the iconic blue and yellow suit for Wolverine
Yeah.
here. I think that's what we even more wanted. So it's one of those things that I think that they're really starting to see the shift of we want to make films that are good and enjoyable while also needing to start appealing to that older audience because they're the ones who also have the quote unquote disposable money, but they're the ones who are also more invested in this instead of just kids. They'll take their kids to go see the ones that are the family friendly stuff, but the ones who are going to watch everything are the diehard, older, more mature audiences, and that's what they need to appeal to. I mean, we look at what's it, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, right? Or Into the Spider-Verse is the newest one, right? No,
I
Across the
think it's
Spider. It's
across
Across
the
the
Spider
Spider
Verse.
Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, look at that one. That one is the right amount of like kid appeal with with the right amount of adult mixin that it stands for fans who know the Spider-Man like lore as well as the different iterations and being able to appreciate that series because of the fact that it's like, hey, you know what? This is a self-contained film. This is just we want to make a good, enjoyable Spider-Man film, and that's what Across the Spider-Verse was. And I'm excited for what they're gonna do for the finale of the trilogy that they're building with the Spider-Verse films because that one was just so good, and they did so many references and teases and set up so much more. I want to know how it's all gonna culminate.
Yeah. I
It
can't wait to actually see.
And actually, speaking of the Blade film, I was gonna say I don't know if you actually heard, but there's rumors right now that they casted for Ghost Rider in the film, and supposedly it's supposed to be Norman Reedus is gonna be playing Ghost Rider, and he's gonna be in the Blade movie.
I would say that's dope, but what Ghost Rider is he gonna be?
If they're doing a revamp of the characters, the only one that he could really be would be Johnny
Uh,
Blaze.
yeah, I guess Johnny Blaze, but yeah.
To I was gonna say you got to think though for a motorcycle enthusiast. I was gonna say Norman Reedus is kind of typecasted as that bad boy when it comes to the
Yeah,
motorcycle.
the bad biker boy. I just I really no. It's more so I don't have anything against Norman Reedus. I just would prefer I don't prefer Johnny Blaze like that.
No, I agree. I was like personally, I love Robbie Reyes. Like
Yeah, Robbie
Robbie,
Reyes. Yeah,
I was like Robbie Reyes's Ghost Rider. I really enjoyed. Like say what you will about the Agents of Shield TV series, but I thought that it was really good. And when they introduced Robbie Reyes as the Ghost Rider in that series, I loved his interpretation. Just like I love the interpretation of Robbie in the Marvel Midnight Suns game. Like when they went with the younger Robbie Reyes, I was like, that was a beautiful interpretation of the character because yeah, he talked about we saw Johnny Blaze and everything else, but we had the old, grizzled, angry old man Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider. But we got to see the young Robbie Reyes as a much different look into the character for the Spirit of Vengeance, and I
yeah.
love
But
that.
I get it. Johnny Blaze is the original, correct? So
Yeah, he's the one who kind of who brought in the newer Spirits of Vengeance because there was a Spirit of Vengeance before him, but Johnny Blaze is like the most known. Like we talk about like the Flash, right? Everyone knows Barry
yeah,
Allen because Barry Allen was the Flash that was the popular and the one that everyone knows. But the original first version of the Flash was Jay Garrick.
yeah,
So it's one of those things here, but I really hope that while it's great if it is true that Norman is going to be you know Ghost Rider, I just want to know what they're going to kind of do with it. I kind of wish that they did an alternate version, but I'm still willing to see because I will say this: I was like, when Norman Reedus gets a role, he commits to it. He does great in his roles, even if the films are bad, right? We've seen it with a lot
Yeah,
of actors. It's like they can have great roles even in bad films because they do the very best with whatever they're given. I was like, it's like Matthew McConaughey, right? Matthew
yep,
McConaughey doesn't have bad roles; he just has bad films. I was say because
yep,
even if he's in a bad film, he does his character phenomenally well.
yeah, yeah. My only concern is if they do have Ghost Rider after this film or whatever. I hope they don't sideline him.
That is true. I was like, we've seen a lot of characters get sidelined in the past, so I really hope that he doesn't get sidelined
That's the
either.
only thing.
I really hope that if anything, because if they do introduce Ghost Rider in this film alongside Blade, that they set up for the Sons of Midnight because they already have Doctor Strange, so they can have their like horror focused, mature storylines with Doctor Strange, Blade, Ghost Rider, and then whatever. Technically, they could even bring in Werewolf by Midnight because Werewolf by Midnight
Yeah,
was a part of the Sons of Midnight at one point. So it's interesting on what they could potentially do if they do this right and take the time with it and care for it the way that they should. And I think that's the biggest concern that a lot of us have with it.
yeah, I'm 100% agree.
And you know what? Speaking of Blade, I'm gonna just say this here because while we focus on a lot of manga, TV shows, comic books, and all that good stuff, we also are all gamers here. We're all nerds, and I don't know about you, Soul, but when we saw that trailer for the Blade video game at the Game Awards, bruh, I got so hyped.
Oh yeah, I'm extremely hyped. Especially given I would say Arcane. I'm a little iffy about Arcane, but given that Arcane made Dishonored, Deathloop, a lot of good games, I think that they have some promise when it comes to this. I just hope it's not cartoonish. I hope it's very I hope it's dark and gritty. That's the one thing. I just hope it's dark and gritty, uh, gory,
To be,
everything that I want.
to
You
be
know.
fair, I was like, if they go with what the baseline that they had in Dishonored, I was like, honestly, Arcane can easily do it. I was like, you think that Dishonored was absolutely brutal. It was gritty. It had the narrative. I was like, if they follow what they had with this between Dishonored and Deathloop, I was like, I think that they have the perfect baseline to do Blade justice the way that he should be. I was like, because you're talking about the Daywalker himself. I was like, literally, if you look at Corvo from Dishonored, he was literally just Blade, but with just mystical powers and with a mask instead.
Yeah,
I say,
I'm gonna say that's why like I thought about it. Like, yeah, they have all of the assets to basically do it. Everything that they kind of have more experience than probably most. I just hope it's good. I don't know. I kind of wanted to play like a Deadpool game, like you know how the 360 Deadpool game was,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of just the action a little bit. But I just wanted to be dark and gritty. Of course, it's probably gonna have that arcane, the Arkham like fight style possibly, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's definitely we'll see, but I mean, you think that Arcane is known for their immersive first-person sims, which is very missing nowadays. I was like, if it's a first-person like immersive sim in the role of Blade, I would be okay with it. I was like, because of the fact that that would be badass if they can make you feel like you are in the boots of the Daywalker himself. I would say,
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad, but I definitely would love I definitely love a third person. I want to see Blade in all his glory.
in all his glory. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the design that they showed for Blade with the way that they had that character model, I'm just like, oh, if that's the character model and they do it third person, I'll be like, oh hell yeah. I was like, if
Yeah,
they,
and I actually keeping up with the canon. Okay, he's not American, and so
nope, he is not. That I think that's the one thing that people forget is that Blade is not American. I was just like, I believe he is French. I believe,
yeah, he's French. Yeah,
yeah, because because the reason he's a half breed was because of the fact that his mom was pregnant when she got infected by a vampire, right? If I remember correctly.
yeah. I think what was when she was pregnant, I believe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
she was turned, so that's why he's only half vampire. Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
thought. Like I said, I was like, I love Blade, but it's been a minute since I've been like, all right, I have to really like
Yeah,
remember
I'm about to go watch
his
the films tonight.
right. He's like, I'm gonna go watch the films. I'm about to bust out my old Blade comics and be like, all right, time to reread this shit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I was like, we only did about 4 of our topics, and we didn't even talk about all the trailers that we got. But you know what, guys? I was like, I think we've had a successful day here. I was like, and we'll talk about these trailers all next week because there's plenty to talk about because there's so many returning shows, so many new shows and films coming out. Some that are good, some that are bad, and some that we're gonna get in between when we talk about that here. So before we dip on out of here, there's one thing that we got to thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out. It means a lot. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit that like button. It means the world to us. Share out the channel and everything else. So we're going to be working on trying to get things back up and running at a steady pace. Everyone's been kind of moving and grooving recently, so everyone's all over the place, but we're going to get things settled in, especially as y'all heard, as Soul was in the middle of a move crossing the country into his new place, so he's still getting his office set up and all that. But before we dip on
Yeah.
out, Soul, tell the people where they can find you at.
Well, you guys can find me, of course, on Instagram at the Soul King. You can find me on Twitter at Soul King Lives. You can also find me on my brand page at Solar Brand on Instagram and Solar Brand on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. So guys, if y'all want to support not just us but the channel and everything else, you can find ways to donate that right here in the chat. But more than anything, go over to Solar Brand. I was like, trust me when I say that this man has some of the best streetwear you'll find. I was like, his clothes be popping, his accessories are always rocking. You know that I'm gonna be repping some of that here soon. I was like, just go show him some love. I was like, he's taking his brand of clothing in a massive journey and massive step over the past 3 years when he first started this back in 2020. So all y'all support, no matter where or how, means the world to us. So go check him out. He's always making new drops, limited merch. So if you want to get in on that action, make sure you go and check it out there. And of course, you already know where you can find me at. You can find me at Bloody Nux, KNUX, on all platforms, whether that's Instagram, Twitter, over on Facebook still here, and of course right here on YouTube. And if y'all want to catch us live when I'm streaming gaming, if you want to come talk some shit with me, I was like, you can find me on Twitch and other platforms. All that's down below. You can keep up with us. I was like, and not only that, we're gonna be doing more. Me and the team are going to be doing more interactive nights here, gaming with y'all as a community and all of this stuff. So make sure you follow us and get all the heads up on that. But before we get on out of here, we want to thank y'all again so much for showing y'all's love and support with us. It means the world. But we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. So y'all know that y'all can catch us next Saturday right here for a brand new episode of the Smash Podcast. So until then, we'll see you then, everyone. Later.
Peace.